Hey guys, this is the last video of the semester. I'm making this video because I put in Canvas, in the grades area, your grades and your feedback for your writing activity 11.10. Those are the paragraphs with advice about taking an online class. And that was a difficult assignment. It was the first time that we wrote a paragraph about advice. So before this, we wrote lots of paragraphs, but they were about things that you like and dislike. And writing paragraphs about advice is a little bit different, and I think a few people got a little confused with the instructions. So a lot of people, in fact, about half of the class, 25 people, wrote paragraphs that were on the wrong topic. And if that is you, you're not alone. A lot of people made that mistake. When you go in to see your grade in Canvas, it's going to say 0. So I'm a little bit strict about following the instructions, and I'm making this video in order to help you. So I want you to rewrite your paragraphs, and if you follow the instructions in this video, you will be able to do it fine. When you turn in your paragraph in week 12, I will go back to week 11 and I will change the 0 to a different grade. So if you didn't have this problem, then you can simply follow the comments that I gave you and work on grammar or other things. So I want to give you a short lesson right now about how to write a paragraph about advice. Okay guys, this is how to write a paragraph about advice. Part 1 is just a reminder to read the instructions for your paragraph carefully. Let me show you the page in Canvas where it has the instructions for the assignment. And you can see here it starts at the top. It says the purpose of the activity, and right here it has the instructions. The first part of these instructions is background information. So it says, in our reading, Advantages and Disadvantages of Online Education, workbook, page 104, we learned about some of the difficult parts of online education. So the reason your teacher put this there is to set the topic, to tell you why I chose this topic for our writing, because we just finished some homework that was about advantages and disadvantages. And so now we have all that information. We don't need to write about it because somebody already wrote an article about it. But I do want you to think about it because this writing is connected. So it says, think about the students who will take online ELW classes in the fall. Some of them will be taking online classes for the first time. So the whole reason that these sentences are here is to help you imagine the situation that you're writing for, but this isn't the topic that you have to write about. It doesn't say write a paragraph about advantages and disadvantages, and I think that's where some people got confused. So the actual instructions that you have to write about is this question, which is written in black in a bold typeface. It says, what are 2 pieces of advice that you would like to give other students about taking an online ELW class? This is the really important part. When you write, you have to answer this question. And that's why, some people got a 0 on this, because what you wrote was totally different from this. Now, the paragraphs have to tell us what are 2 pieces of advice that you would like to give. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. This part at the end of the instructions, I hope you read it. It says, write 2 paragraphs to explain your advice. And each paragraph should be focused on 1 piece of advice. So just like we studied, 1 paragraph should have 1 topic. Each paragraph should have 7 to 8 sentences. You can write more if you want. And each paragraph should have a clear topic sentence. So before we continue, I want to make sure it's clear what I mean when I say write 2 pieces of advice. So what is advice? Advice in English and in American culture means suggestions. These are usually given from a person who has a lot of experience to a person who has less experience, and advice is your idea about what you think someone should do. So this is focused on the actions that you want them to do. The question, just to read the question again, says, what are 2 pieces of advice that you would like to give to other students about taking an online class? So the advice is like telling them how to take the class, how to be a good student, how to learn a lot, how to be happy, like what they should do to be a good student in an online class. So it's not focused on the why we're taking online questions. It's really focused on how. What are the actions that I need to do? Okay, so here's some examples about online classes. Maybe this woman would tell you, go to all the Zoom meetings. Don't be absent from Zoom. Or ask a lot of questions. Your teacher wants you to ask questions. Maybe another piece of advice would be, have a family member help you with the technology because the technology is hard. Or do your work on time. Or do extra practice outside of class. Don't be afraid of your teacher. Make a routine for yourself. Use the tutors in the library. Or watch all the videos 3 times. So all of these things on this list, these are all pieces of advice. They're all things that she wants you to do to be a good student. Okay? So just a quick reminder here, when we look at the instructions, it says, write 2 paragraphs to explain your advice, and each paragraph should be focused on 1 piece of advice. So when we look at all these ideas, there's probably 10 ideas in this list, and for the homework, you can't write about all of them, and you shouldn't. You have to pick 2 ideas, 2 pieces of advice that you think are really important, and then write 1 paragraph about one and 1 paragraph about the other. So let's do a bit of review here. We know what a sentence is. A paragraph is a group of sentences, and then an essay is a group of paragraphs. And we know that a paragraph is a group of sentences which all talk about one topic. So if I take 1 piece of advice, like, go to all the Zoom meetings, then in my paragraph, I have to continue talking about that for all of my sentences. They all have to talk about the Zoom meetings. I can't give 5 or 6 pieces of advice in 1 paragraph. I get 1 paragraph, 1 topic. So, and we know that in a sentence, the sentences in a paragraph go in a special order. Usually there's some background information at first, but if you don't have it, no problem, it's optional. And then there's a general sentence, which is the most important sentence. That's the topic sentence. After that, we have a lot of supporting sentences. These give the examples and the reasons. Maybe you have an experience you want to share. So we have supporting sentences. This is the organization I'm looking for when I grade you. So when we made the paragraph about likes, this is actually from a student in our, no, this is an imaginary paragraph. You can see in this paragraph, the blue sentences have background information, and the red sentence is the topic sentence. So in this paragraph, this person was supposed to write about likes and dislikes. So they said, I think this school is absolutely amazing. And when they say that, we know that all of the details here are going to talk about good things, positive things about this school. And those are the supporting sentences. Okay, and then in another example, we have background information again, and then after that, there's the topic sentence, and this person said, however, if I had to choose 1 thing to dislike, it would be the school lunch program. And so here, when we see this in the topic sentence, we know that all of this paragraph is going to talk about bad things, negative things about the school lunch program. Those are the supporting sentences. Now, how do paragraphs look different when the topic is advice and not likes and dislikes. Here's an example. And I don't have much time in this video, so I'm going to tell you to pause the video and read the whole paragraph, and then unpause the video to come back. Okay, so I hope you had a chance to read this. This is a person who is giving advice. This advice is not about studying online. It's advice about studying in a different country. So it's similar to your homework, but not exactly the same. Basically, what I want you to see, this person starts with background information, and then they have a topic sentence here. And we know that this is the topic sentence because they say, my first advice to international students. And so we can kind of see that there's two paragraphs. This is going to be the first idea here. And the topic here is be prepared for cultural differences. And then they give examples of cultural differences. So he says, to give one example, you will probably miss your food. And he talks about food. And then he says, in addition, you might be shocked at the way people dress. And then he talks about some cultural differences related to clothes. So food and clothes are his examples, but the general topic is cultural differences. Okay, here's another example. Pause the video to read this and then come back. Okay, I hope you read it and everything is clear. Let's take a look at the structure. This paragraph doesn't have any background information, and so here the topic is to learn about technology, that his advice that people should do is that they should prepare on technology because after they come then they have to use it. And so he gives several different examples of things that people can learn, before they go to study in a different country. They should prepare with knowledge about those parts of technology. So this is a good example of a paragraph that doesn't have any background information, just goes directly to the topic sentence. But I hope you can see here in both of these paragraphs, when we look at the red topic sentence, this is talking about something that they should do. Be prepared, like prepare yourself in your mind. And in this sentence, it says, learn as much as you can. This is some action that you need to do. So when we give advice, it's like we are telling people to do something. Okay, so the biggest question that you probably want me to answer is, well, how do I write those topic sentences? And I just want to give you some examples. So for the first paragraph, you can say things like this. You can say, my first piece of advice is that you should blah, blah, blah. For one thing, you should blah, 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 blah. To begin, I believe strongly that blah, blah, you need to blah, 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 blah. First, I want to recommend that, etc. Or you can make a long one and you can say, if I were giving advice to a new ELW student, I would tell them, to study a lot or to go to the library, etc., etc. So those are some sentences that you can use in your paragraphs, or you can make something similar that make it in your own style. And then for your second paragraph, you can say things like this. My second piece of advice is that you need to blah, blah, blah. In addition, you should blah, 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 blah. Furthermore, I think that second, because this is the second paragraph, so you can say, second, I would recommend that, etc., etc. Or, another thing that will help you have a good experience is, to ask a lot of questions or to have a schedule, etc., etc. So these, hopefully, if you want to pause the video, you can write down some that you like. I hope they're helpful. That is the end of this lesson. I want to tell you good luck on your paragraphs. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask. Do this first, and the paragraphs you write on the final exam will be similar.